It's going down.
You ready?
You're listening to Waukegan's hit music station, LJ Entertainment Radio, where hit music lives. Now part of the LJ Entertainment Media family.
Good morning and welcome to LJ Entertainment Radio. I am your host, Avery Ocampo. Today's date is February 12th, 2025, and we've got a very special guest with us on the show this morning. This is Sam Cunningham, former mayor of Waukegan, but he is currently running for re-election. Sam, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you very, very much. And thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Now, I do want to discuss some key points within today's show. Mainly, first off, why you chose or decided to run for re-election, and with re-election coming up, are you counting on the Latino vote?
Well, let's answer the second question first. Absolutely, we're counting on every voter who lives in the boundaries of Waukegan, Illinois, and certainly understanding the population or the demographics now of Waukegan community. If you do not have support of our Latino community, statistically speaking, it's going to be very difficult for an individual to win. With that being said, let's go back to the first question. Why am I running? Well, I'm running for that very reason. I'm running for re-election. One is to continue the progress that we have already started, and that progress consists of rebuilding this community. To the community that I grew up in Waukegan, it's great. It worked for me, and it worked for those who are within my age group and a little bit young, slightly younger. However, even for you, Mr. Ocampo, you want a different Waukegan. It was great for your mom and dad, maybe your grandparents, but it's not what Mr. Ocampo's looking for.
Right.
And we need to prepare or rebuild Waukegan for that generation of Waukeganites whose family love him, and obviously they love it. But because of the different stages in life that people are in and where they want to be, whether it be from a nightlife, certainly from an educational standpoint, as you begin to grow your family, safety, and just good old-fashioned, a great place to live, work, and play for your family. That's the rebuilding of Waukegan where I'm at. We certainly started that 4 years ago. We were somewhat hampered by that because of COVID-19. However, we were able to get some awesome pieces put together in order to do that. So the reason why I'm running, that's the primary reason why I'm running.
Well, I'm going to say this. I am excited to see you actually run for mayor again this year, actually, I believe.
Yes. The primary is February 25th, 2025. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because understanding there are two cycles to this election process. It's the February primary, which is February 25th, 2025, which in Waukegan, I have some competition. There's two people on the ballot, that being myself and the other candidate. Certainly, I trust that everybody will be voting for Sam Cunningham. If not, more importantly, get out. Your voice.
Get out and
is
vote.
Your voice.
Now, if elected as mayor, what will you actually bring to the city of Waukegan? I know during your last term, a lot of casinos were erected within the state of Illinois, that one being the American Place Casino in Waukegan.
Yes.
What will you bring to the table if elected as mayor?
So we're talking what additional what we do. First of all, we thank you for bringing that point up, and just for your viewers, while the reason the delay is because our current mayor, along with some of her supporters who was on council floor by the name of Lynn Florian, Felix Rivera, vehemently opposed the casino. They did not want it. And you have me saying casino. It is not a casino. It's called an entertainment. It's an entertainment venue. that includes casinos. That was the golden objective that not only I set out, but those who were in support of it set out. And if you take a look at casinos today, whether it be from Vegas to those here in the state of Illinois, it's more of an entertainment venue than anything else. That entertainment venue then what? Brings what? It brings revenue to our community. Current mayor and a couple of aldermen played politics with this process by saying it was corrupt. And I and others had rigged, that's the word they use, rigged for one specific individual to become the operator. That was wrong. And it had to be validated and validated through the court system, which was unfortunate. Waukegan could already be up and running, looking at those revenues so they would then reinvest them back into our community. And not just Waukegan. Waukegan was a part of that legislation bill. City of North Chicago was a part of that legislation bill. City of Park City was a part of that legislation bill. And some in revenues going to the county of Lake. So this had a multiple impact because of that decision of telling Potawatomi developers that we rigged this process, delayed us from revenues over the last 2 years, which we're going to begin to invest in our community. It's unfortunate, but luckily the Illinois State Supreme Court system said, listen, you guys did everything right. You did everything right, Waukegan. Now let's move on with this entertainment center called casino. So we can start taking the revenues from that and pouring those back into the city of Waukegan. What's next? That's the question of the day. What is next? Well, the what's next piece must start with seriously and aggressively investing in the assets that we have. And what are our assets? Our assets is our 360 miles of roadways, sewer lines, water lines. That is the biggest investment that we must do, and we must be aggressive and intentional. As you probably know, riding down Washington Street, that street probably alone is 50 years old. So major reconstruction needs to happen there. What is the estimated cost? And I'm throwing off the top of my head from the last time we did our comprehensive plan. We're probably at $2 million just from Green Bay Road, probably up to Jackson. So these are serious dollars that we need to invest. If you take a look at our capital improvement plan, we did an estimated cost of what it takes to bring our city, what we call up to par. What does it mean by par? That means just bring us up to par, to just regular roads, not the maintenance of those roads. We're at $500 million back in 2018, 2019. I'm pretty sure you probably take inflation 3 to 4%, about $550 million. So we have some major investments that we have to do in our community. We've already laid out that plan. We did some funding of it, but having funding mechanisms such as the entertainment center called Casino, right now the Opera's American Place, and having other things in the pipelines like development in our downtown. I believe that we should, if we want our downtown to really come back and to really serious about that, there must be some redevelopment in downtown about adding residential 500 to 700, if no more than 1,000 units at a market rate, $900 to $1,000 per month, 500 to 700 square feet. That's doable. That brings body into downtown. Then the business will follow. I'm a huge fan of entertainment. We must look at how can we utilize our beach here in our downtown area to have weekly venues that come to our downtown. We can't be afraid. Will it be safe? Of course it'll be safe. If we can do Scoop the Loop over 20 years and relatively minimal problems there, then we can do these type of entertainment venues. I like that nightlife environment. Mr. Ocampo, listen, you're a young man and you want to enjoy your urbanness. You don't want to always have to go to, 50 miles north of Chicago.
Yeah,
50 miles.
Traveling is...
south of Chicago, north of Milwaukee. The traveling, as you get a little bit older, you're like, man, I wish I could do this right around town. And we can do those things. But it must be in a controlled environment set forth not by the cities and those establishments. That is where I want to go with that. So what's next? That's what's next. Infrastructure, aggressively, $50 million entertainment center, redeveloping our downtown by bringing residential housing there. And I think last but not least, we have a utility called water. Our water plant has a capacity to bring roughly $11 million, 11 million gallons of water that we can pump in on a daily basis. Right now, Waukegan's capacity and his other customers that we have, we're probably about 7 or 8 million. So we have excess water capacity that we can sell water to other communities. That's something that no one ever, we've thought about it, we've talked about it. Let's move forward to that. That's revenue. We must increase our revenue outside of property taxes. And how do you do that? You must have things that generate revenue in your community. Having these activities is certainly a source of revenue that can be generated and that can be managed safely and controlled safely through the city of Waukegan and his other partners.
With me growing up in the city of Waukegan, granted, I'm 19 years old now, but growing up, Waukegan's not what it used to be. From like downtowns, from my perspective, I've always seen it as I wouldn't describe it as a mess. I would describe it as a very like shadow of itself. It's not it's not considered really a tourist attraction as of right now. So I do really want to see a lot of people coming in the Waukegan, enjoying the Genesee Theater, enjoying everything that we have to offer, but kind of like how you said that we do have to work on it. So I'm really hoping that it does come to fruition, because I've loved Waukegan with my entire heart just because I've grown up here. So I really want to see something happening with downtown, just for not even just our residents, but for visitors alike to actually enjoy Waukegan with what we've got.
I'm so encouraged, and now you've really inspired me to really aggressively move on some of these ideas with our partners, certainly with our council. But you're absolutely right. The shadow of it. I love that word, the shadow of itself. We are the shadow of ourselves, but sometimes we get in our own way, and we can't afford for that to happen. That's why we must present the vision, align ourselves with the correct partners, and more importantly, move it forward. Move it forward. And that sometimes means there must be a push, and that push must come from the leadership. And the leadership must be the leadership who wants to do that. I have already said I want to do that. Second, I will identify the partners who want to see that vision and who understands that shadow, but they can take that shadow and then make it a reality. And that's going to be some strong political will, but more importantly, it's going to take individuals like you, Mr. Ocampo, to come in and say to City Council, we want this to happen. Not 20 years from now, not 10 years. We want to see progressively these things moving forward. I just believe that I am the individual who can get it done. Just as we were able to get it done with what? With our entertainment center called Casino, with our Genesee Theater. I was part of that project. Secondly, reshaping, a development that's near and dear to my heart, certainly where I grew up at. Never ashamed of it. However, to your point, it can be better. Now that it has been rebuilt, look what it is today. Imagine us doing that for the city of Waukegan. I know you can hear my energy and my enthusiasm. Now we have to take all that energy and enthusiasm and then let it flow into action.
Right.
And that action is, the blueprint is already there, Mr. Ocampo. It's there. We just got to execute.
My other question would be so if elected as mayor, how will the city of Waukegan support small businesses, local business such as like La Michoacana or even LJ Entertainment Media as an example?
Well, let's start out. During my first term, one of the first things I had directed our community development block grant department to do is, hey, let's get out to these businesses, talk to them about their look. You know, if you go to Lake Forest, sometimes you go to Buffalo Grove or even downtown Libertyville, there's a certain look that they have for their downtown. It might be uniform, but it's Libertyville, it's Lake Forest, it's Highwood. We need a Waukegan look. And because of our old structures, you probably won't find any place where the buildings are constructed like ours. You know, the craftsmanship's on there. Those are a dying breed. However, those small facelifts must be done. I then directed the director of the Community Development Bar grant to identify grants that we can give so they can increase that visibility or make their appearance look a little bit different. Certainly, COVID was not able to did not allow us to really push that as much as we want to. But those small things right there by helping small businesses. The other thing, get off their backs with these fines and fees. Execute these business licenses. Stop holding them hostages or using it as a money pit to get fines and fees out of them. That was never, ever, ever the intent of our planning and zoning department, building department. We've weaponized them to become, shakedown artists for fines and fees. No, we need for you to be up and running, to have your business like there. The more business you do, the better off it helps us by generating revenue by the sales of your goods and services. So certainly we're going to eliminate that right off the top. Second, we want to make sure that some of these small businesses work with the city to sell some of their goods and services to the city. We need them. For example, your podcast or other podcasts. I want my police chief. I want my public works director. I want my fire chief. I want my community development block grant to be on this podcast to talk about what's going on in their departments, how they can help. Certainly, putting these podcasts on, there must be a fee. I don't know if you're going to get rich by doing it with the city of Waukegan. Certainly, you'll be doing a great service at the same time at a cost that's conducive to that's within our budget. We want those things to happen. That's how not only are the administration, but the department making you fully aware of what the opportunities that exist and being transparent of how to get it done without going through all of these complications that's going on right now.
I've run LJ Entertainment Media since I was in school. I've run it since I was 11 years old. And not only now, when I turned 18, I immediately began taking it seriously just because I had done it as like a side gig or side hustle, as it's called. But now that I'm more venturing out in so many different opportunities, such as podcasts, radio shows, or even web design and voiceover design services, I'm really trying to get my company's name out there, even by just interviewing local artists or even politicians that are from this prospective city that our company is based out of.
Yeah. What better way to get your business? What better way to help your business get visibility than having the mayor, the police chief, the fire chief, the water plant person? Why? Because your viewers or that market in Waukegan understand this is the person that makes sure that my water, first of all, is safe, the flow, the pressure, all of that. I want to hear what they have to say. That attracts people to your podcast, maybe weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever it may be. I want them out communicating to the public about what's going on within city government. Yes, the mayor doing it is one thing, but let's be clear. The mayor is supposed to be promoting and pumping up the city and making sure that, we try to head off the negative publicity. But here's my other challenge. When we don't talk to you, others will, and sometimes others don't tell you the backstory or the full story. And then your public tends to get one side of it. And that side could be, the roof is on fire. And I say that jokingly, of course. But it's not on fire. It was on fire. We got there before significant amount of damage could have destroyed the building. And then we put them in contact with people not only to help them rebuild the roof so it's back to its normal use. That's what we want them to be able to do versus somebody coming off and just, screaming, the Cookie Monster is coming, the Cookie Monster is coming. I think if we're able to be a little bit more transparent and more forthcoming with what our various departments are doing, and certainly in our police and fire and public works, we can't share everything. That's a given. But what we do share is information that is beneficial to improve the quality of life within the city of Waukegan's boundary.
I know right now this is a lot. There's a lot of buzz around this, especially with the new presidency. Now, I wanted to ask you this. If elected, how will the city of Waukegan help those who are, or help our fellow migrant population in the city? Will, for example, Waukegan PD work with federal agents if they are doing ICE raids or crackdowns within the city?
Well, I'm going to be very clear, and this is long term. This is just not because our national leader has decided to change his position on how he's going to address immigration. I think we need to probably really take a look at immigration, of the history of it. If you take a look at post-World War II, where a lot of our Europeans were immigrants in this country, and not to try to be critical, but when that process took place back in 45, 46, the way the individuals became American citizens was truly right off the boat. They got off from where their prospective countries, came to a port where there were immigration or immigration officials, and you went to these various stations to say, you're from Croatia, you're from Polish, or whatever it may have been. The process is what I want people to do. So you went from 1, 2, 3 to almost getting a stamp of being an American citizen. Moving fast forward to today, while that process is a little bit different, in my opinion, if we were able to do it then and be very efficient and proficient with it, with the technology that we have today, I'm pretty sure we can do the same thing. That immigration process is the most complicated, confusing, not to those who are going through it. It's for those who are not going through it, who just, what the heck? We are the most, in my opinion, and I'm selfishly saying this, probably the most intelligent country on the face of this earth. Wealth-wise, we certainly are number one. How is it that we cannot fix this problem so it's not an issue for communities throughout this country? To answer your question and be very, very adamant about this, Waukegan has always been and will continue to be a welcoming community for those who are immigrants. Why? That's our history. That's just who we are. To get a blueprint of how to do immigration, we can tell you a thing or two. As far as weaponizing our police department to assist ICE on ICE raids, it will not happen, certainly under my administration. I want to think it's not happening now. It did not happen while we were as an alderman. We have said this. We don't control our borders, nor do we control the legislation that affect our borders. What we do control is the block of Lenox, the block of North Avenue, the block of Sunset, the city of Waukegan. Once whomever is here and they want to live, work, and play in this community, abide by the rules and regulations of not only our city, our state, and our country, then we're going to treat you as a homeowner, a consumer, etc. Our police department certainly have enough work to do by serving and protecting the boundaries of the city of Waukegan. I need for them to be on their job. Now, certainly we do not want anyone to live amongst us, whether they black, white, Latina, or any other person of who might be an immigrant. If there's warrants that are out there for you that says you need to be deported, I know there's a process in place for that. And we don't want them in our neighborhoods. But let's be clear. We don't want anybody in our neighborhood who can cause us bodily harm to our moms, dads, sisters, cousins, brothers, etc.
Exactly.
No one wants that. But what we do want, we want you to, whomever's here, who's ever living in their home, who's ever paying a mortgage, abide by the rules and regulations that are set forth by this city, this state, and this country, and we will treat you so. I don't want to sound like I'm talking around it, but I am not looking to have Waukegan Police Department assist in raids. That's not who we are, what we are. But we will serve and protect. We will our community.
Because I know this podcast will reach a lot of our community within the area. What would you say, if you had any words that you would provide to the general public within the immigrant community or Latino community, what would you say to them right now amidst the current situation that is occurring at this time?
Me not understanding truly how that feel not to be an American citizen. I don't know. Just as some people don't know what it feels like to be black, or some people don't, a man doesn't understand what it is to be a woman, or won't understand what it is to be a man. Here's what I do know. A lot of times these fear mongers, they put so much fear in us that we stop living the life that I'm going to say God has prepared for us. Be cautious. Certainly be cautious. Certainly be aware. And if there's any information that we get, whether I'm mayor or not, we're going to make sure that our community is armed with that information. Whether it be know your rights, where to get food, who's in your neighborhood. That's what I'm going to continue to do as mayor and as citizen. But more importantly, because I understand this Waukegan culture and the diverse cultures that live within this community, it helps me to understand some of the feelings that's going on. I don't want to add to those fears. I want to inform you of how to help you at the very least, reduce some of those fears because you have the information that can help you to keep you out of certain situations. The goal for Sam Cunningham and for those who live here, who want to work here and play here, is to make sure, one, our city is safe. Two, you understand the environment that is presented with you. But three, help you and your children to thrive, to want to live, work, and play in this community. And some of these other things out of our control, we need to be prepared by understanding what you can and cannot do as you govern yourself accordingly in your home, in your street, at your job, at the grocery store, etc.
Now, in topic of making the streets safer, as mayor, what would be your goal, or how would you make the streets safer within Waukegan? I know a lot has happened through various areas. I know in the area where I live, which is between kind of the border between Gurney and Waukegan, that area, it's a bit not rough, but it's it's a lot of crime travels between Waukegan and Gurnee. So I do want to ask, how would you make the streets safer? What would you implement, such as like stricter pub hours or anything like that in terms of disorderly conduct or anyone that is intoxicated, for example, if they were to cause bodily harm to another member or anything like that?
Well, listen, people are going to commit crimes. They're going to do some things that law-abiding citizens won't do. One, we have a system for that. And that's our judicial process. That judicial process starts with our police departments, throughout our police agencies, patrolling. One of them, patrolling. I need for our police officers to be visible as much as humanly possible. In order for that to happen, from a police operations standpoint, we need to make some minor adjustments. What are those adjustments? Those adjustments by having the various agencies, and there is a patrol division, there's a traffic division, and there's an intelligence division, along with community police. All of those divisions must work in sequence with each other. What does that mean? And you're asking me how I'm going to control that. Hear me out. Let me lay it out for you. So our patrol division simply is the police cars, the marked police cars that you see. That's what we call patrol. I need for them to be visible up and down Sheridan Road, Grand, Belvedere, Washington, Lewis, Green Bay. Every 3 to 5 minutes, you need to see a police car. Now, that can't happen right now. And I think they're trying to do some remnants of it. We're going to aggressively do this. And I know I've been somewhat criticized or said that we did not grow the Waukegan Police Department. During COVID, we couldn't grow anything.
Right.
But we still were able to maintain the level of safety that it was much better prepared then what it is now. Now that we've kind of opened up COVID, certain things have changed. We need to have a very robust 5 to 6 man traffic division. Why a traffic division? So when you talk about crime, a lot of the crime consists of these young men or young ladies, people committing them. They have guns in cars. And now that you have open carry, people are allowed to carry their guns in their cars in a safe environment. For a law enforcement officer, there's a weapon in the car, period. With a traffic division concentrating only on traffic stops. Now you free up our patrol division not to try to do traffic stops and patrol. Our intelligence division. Our intelligence division used to be called the gang unit or the jump out, but whatever name you want to give them, I say intelligence because we're building intelligence around what negative element exists in our city. That department must have a minimum 8 to 10 people. Back in the 90s, they had about 12. So they worked on intelligence. Then that intelligence allowed them to prevent certain things from happening. But at the very least, you're chasing these individuals out of your community. You also will partner in with your North Chicago Brethren police agencies, Zion police agencies, and part of your your division. What we're doing, again, expanding our intelligence, partnering with them to make sure we're keeping those negative elements out of our community. Now, will it completely stop crime from happening? No, that's unrealistic. What it will do is make these individuals think twice. Minimum, best case scenario, they'll leave our community or be arrested. So that is my way of tackling that. And I'm going to further say this. Our young men and young ladies, we can't allow them to idly sit by from 3 to 8 or 9 to mom and dad gets home. Being a working class community, a lot of these parents are working, expected for their children to stay at home and mind their business. Well, you're 19 now. That means you're a lot closer to being that young man. You cannot let me idle for 8 or 9 hours and expect me not to get into anything. That's just not going to happen. I truly like to see us work with all of our school districts, park district, city, and put these young men and young ladies to work more specifically in the summertime. The school district, all your athletes, all the people belong to your clubs. Let them work around the school district for the summer. We will find the revenue in order to pay them, or bring some of them into Waukegan Park District, Waukegan School District, and other governmental agencies that handle their school districts, and say, we're going to take 400 or 500 of these students and put them to work in the schools in the summertime. These are the kind of creative ideas that I have that we want to throw out there to get our partnering agencies to work with us.
No, so I have your Wikipedia page pulled up. It is showing here that from when you were mayor that you had, or that your vision was for the city was the transformation of the lakefront to a Northern Navy pier of Lake County?
Yes, the Northern Navy pier.
Would you, and as mayor, would you work on that vision again?
Absolutely.
Like then?
Absolutely. I think our beach, so here, history. Waukegan has the largest beach on the North Shore. We have 3 linear miles of beach area. When we were mayor, when I was mayor, one thing I told staff, we need to have 3,000 to 5,000 people down at our beach every weekend. Open the beach up. Now there's a $20 fee to get in. Come on, that's a money grab. You want people to come to our beach. Certainly, those who live here should have preference of getting on the beach first, without question. But now that we have eliminated tore down the building of the old OMC site, we are able to park a lot more cars. So bring them on the beach. The Steiner Pavilion. I believe activities should be there every weekend, whether it be wedding receptions, just some things for people to do, some concerts. We have some amazing Latin bands, Caribbean bands, steppers. They call it stepping. Anything. Let's be creative. What we can bring down there. The goal is to get 3,000 to 5,000 bodies every weekend at that beach. Grow. Work with our Lake County Forest Preserve to bring a bike path through our beach area. We have some very aggressive ideas and plans that must be executed. No more talking. Get it done.
No, from here, correct me if I'm wrong. I know Wikipedia is usually inaccurate sometimes. It does state that in the year of 1975 you had joined the Waukegan Police Department, correct?
Yeah. Did I?
Yes.
No, I was never a sworn officer. No. Is that what you're asking me?
Yes, because usually Wikipedia is very dicey.
Yeah, so I went on Wikipedia and I saw that no, I was never a sworn officer. Actually, I was a paper boy and been a paper boy. If you get paper boy of the month, you get to put a little article in the paper. And actually, I wanted to be a firefighter. But I turned up being an elected alderman, so had the best of both worlds.
Huh. I'm surprised Wikipedia got that wrong, actually.
Yeah, well, I've been trying to change that over the last. It's very difficult to change Wikipedia.
But what is correct though is that you got a bachelor of science at Central State University.
Yes, Bachelor of Science at Central State University in Wilberforce, Ohio.
Now, let me see. I'm trying to grab another question. I know, for example, our Belvedere Discount Mall, that is a huge area for both our Latino community. What would be your plans to work with the owner of that building? What would your plans be to remodel the mall or add any additions to it?
Well, I think when you have those public partnerships, They work best in government today. Whatever ideas that they may have that we can help facilitate, to help them facilitate those into rebuilding and reshaping that mall, we will do that expeditiously because it is a merchant's. It's a merchant. It's not the people that go and buy their goods and services. They do extremely well, and when they do well, it benefits our city. So for me, once the plans come in, we will make sure we identify a person to work with them to get those plans into action expeditiously. Because when they win, we win. When we're slow, they lose. We can't do that. And again, it goes back to prioritizing, understanding the culture, knowing the landscape for Waukegan. I just believe that I can do that better than anybody that who's currently in office and who's certainly on the ballot to be the next mayor.
You know, I gotta stop using filler words. I know Waukegan is known as the city of progress. Do you still, in your opinion, do you still believe that Waukegan still has that criteria, that it is still the city of progress? And if not, what will you change?
Well, I think, sometimes we get labeled as nothing has happened in Waukegan. Listen, I've been on city council since 1999. Certainly mayor, and then through city government through 1999 to 2021. And I have looked at its totality. Genesee Theater. That's progress from what it was to what it is today. Some things have happened in our downtown. That's progress. It might not be the progress that you're looking for, but we've continued to move the needle. Can we move the needle much faster than what we have? Yes, we can. Having upgrading of your public housing units, the public housing units that I grew up in versus what's there today, that's major progress. Entertainment center called Casino. We've been trying to get that since 1993. We're able to achieve that in 2019. That's progress. So to say that we are not moving our community forward, I think is an understatement. I think what people are looking for and trying to compare us, we're comparing us to other communities, which we should be fairly. We need to make, from a leadership standpoint, here is the plan, execute the plan. We started that. 2017, we updated our comprehensive plan. So what is our comprehensive plan? Comprehensive plan is basically the marketing plan for cities. In that comprehensive plan that identifies your demographics, it understands your educational landscapes, understanding your building and zoning laws, understanding what businesses are here and what can come here. That, before we upgraded that, the last time they did it was 1980. Certainly you wasn't born.
Nope.
I was, in 1980, sir, I was in middle school. We didn't change that until 2017, 2018.
Well, that is quite the long time, actually.
Well, and so what does that mean? That means we have been operating from that 1980s mindset. Now we're at 2017. Typically your comprehensive plan, minimum every 5 years, worst 10 years. So we should be thinking about right now what we're going to what we want to do in the next 20 years. I say that progress has happened. It has not been as aggressive as we want it to be. I say to you, looking at my experience, my ability to be on city council, being the public works chairman, the finance chairman, the planning and zoning vice chair, public safety chair, I understand all of these dynamics. Now it's time to bring all of those processes and dynamics into the forefront as the mayor's office, and then execute on infrastructure, execute on nightlife, execute on updating our entertainment center, whether it be from the beach area to a a bike path. All of these things are part of our plan, my plan. Take the plan, put it into action. How you put it into action? By executing. And right now, I'm at the executing phase. I know what we want to do. We have some things written down, upgrade some of those things that's been written down, but we must move forward. And I think presenting this to our legislators, which are what we call aldermen, they will buy into that. At the very least, we will invest $50 million into water lines, sewer lines, lead lines, street lines, 360 or 320 miles of roads. We're certainly we must do this, not should, we must do this. We must bring in 7,000 to 1,000 units in our downtown. That's a must. We must have a robust entertainment mindset that is safe and that can draw people to our community, just as the Genesee Theater. And now our American Place Entertainment Center. Those are essential things that we must do. And I just believe I'm the leader who can get that done.
Mind you, I was actually, so during your first term, I was in middle school, actually. By the time you had actually exited, I'm trying to think of the word here. By the time you had left office, I was actually in I believe my sophomore year of high school. And I know this was actually during the pandemic. I know during the COVID-19 pandemic, everything had stopped. I know we had a lot of issues with buildings not being finished or construction being halted because of the COVID-19 virus at the time. Now that that's past us, now that that's been resolved, do you believe that some of any of our construction projects or any other projects that are currently in place would be finished at a much faster pace, if I'm saying that correctly?
Absolutely. Listen, we started in 2017. We were moving some things along. So certainly, if you take a look at what we had encountered 6 months right into 2017, the sinkhole at Waukegan Street. From there, we then go to the blast that took the lives of 4 individuals out on Sunset. From there,
I remember that.
Civil unrest that existed due to the murder of George Floyd certainly compounded our own issues, which we did a magnificent job on by not allowing our city to fall into civil unrest when we had officer-involved shooting. Moving forward, COVID. My concentration as mayor became in saving lives. I was totally focused on saving lives. Setting up centers to test for COVID, making sure that we work with our national leaders, county leaders, state leaders to get vaccines into people's arms so they wouldn't. It was just so much going on that was outside, and it wasn't a blueprint prepared for not just me as the mayor, as the governor, as the president, as people. The world was shut down. So our focus shifted from the things that we're talking about today to just saving the life of people. At the same time, continue to operate city government. And I think we didn't do a good job. We did a magnificent job of doing that. I credit myself, the staff, and all of our other partners for helping us navigate through that maze. Fast forwarding to today, the world is open. We're seeing some revenue numbers pre-COVID-19. To answer your question with some enthusiasm and certainly with a definite yes, they should move along. Yes, they should be moving along at a much more rapid speed than doing post-COVID. However, you got to want those things to move along. You certainly got to have the ideas already in place. for these things to move along. And again, I go back to, I don't knock anyone who wants to put their name on a ballot. I just tell you, during this time, this place, for this election to be the mayor of this city, I am the person who can get those things accomplished because I've proven I've been able to do that in the past.
I know one of my main other questions is with the current situation by the current administration in Washington, D.C., with the federal fund pause that had been originally blocked, how would that affect the city of Waukegan?
Well, certainly, when you talk about funds coming from D.C. down to your states, to your counties, and to us, or sometimes directly to us, various grants, let's say, for example, we get a lot of police and fire grants. Those come down from D.C., you know. If we did not get those grants, those things still need to be done. They just have to be prioritized through our capital improvement plan. For example, you can go and get funds from the federal government for ambulances or fire trucks. Well, if you have received those grants, those are dollars we didn't expect. So as opposed to buying one truck, we buy 3 trucks. So from a time period, we might not get it this year. We have to wait 2 years. And again, that's part of our planning process. Now, we're talking about dollars going to our school districts, health departments, and other agencies with wraparound services that help our citizens. That could be problematic. Then they would need funding from who? City of Waukegan's funding is tapped out. However, if we had to maneuver where we can give some funding to these agencies, and it was essential for us to do that, or A, B, and C just won't happen for the residents who live in our community, then that ultimately affects us. What I trust is our national leaders, U.S. Congressman, Mr. Schneider, U.S. Senator Mr. Durbin, and Ms. Duckworth. They will hear our cry, and they will band together with their other national leaders to make sure that doesn't affect us, just as they did in COVID-19. Under the past regime, this, understand, COVID hit this country during this administration. We were able to manage through it during the Biden administration. Luckily, through the legislation that was presented, then signed ultimately by the president, the necessary resources were able to trickle down to the city of Waukegan. I'm going to tell you, I trust that process. We might have to monitor it a little bit more closely today than we did last time. But I believe that the power of the people from our locals will get sent up to our state and on up to our nationals, that we'll get the necessary resources that's necessary to do what? Help our people live, work, and play in our community called Waukegan.
I actually love that answer to that question. I know there has been a lot of criticism and just general buzz within social media and news outlets because of that federal fund freeze had been put into place and was blocked. So that was really a good question to ask, just because I wanted to see what and how it would affect the city of Waukegan had it gone into place.
Yeah, luckily we have court systems. There's processes. Luckily, our court systems are in place for that, and it will ultimately address that. What we, me and you, have to do is take care of home. Concentrate on home.
My question to you is, if people want to vote early, where can they do it? And is early voting an option for this election?
Yes, early voting is a major option for this election. And early voting started back in January. Don't help me. Don't get me started. I don't know the exact date, but it is going on to February 24th. Right now, if you want to early vote, you can go 2 ways. One of them is by mail. If you call 847-377-2410, and give them your name, your date of birth, your street number address. They can get you a vote by mail ballot sent to your home. Then you can vote by mail. The other form of early voting is you can walk right into 18 North County, Waukegan, Illinois, which is we affectionately call the county building. They have election machines set up right in the lobby, and you can go right there. And I encourage, particularly your age group, to go out because you guys are busybodies. And sometimes that voting is just not at the top of your radar to go and vote. I'm encouraging you, please tell your families and friends to go out and vote early. School might come in, snowfall, anything could happen that impact you to vote.
Now, Mr. Cunningham, I did want to ask you, I know you had touched base on our law enforcement officers and our emergency response agencies. If you are elected, what would you bring to them? Would that be more funding? Would that be new resources?
Well, I think, first of all, here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk to my chief of police, my chief of fire department. We're going to talk to all of their leaders, from sergeants to captains to commanders. And I'm going to say what is needed for you to help you do your job. That's the first thing you ask. And certainly, if it's more manpower, we go back to city council and say, hey, we need an extra 5 people, 6 people. Here's the reason why. That's what I'm going to do. I keep hearing that I increase law enforcement. Increasing law enforcement doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to decrease crime. No, it's what we're going to do with that law enforcement. Are we going to bump up our patrol division? Are we going to bump up our intelligence unit? Are we going to bump up our community policing unit? See, I'm an operations guy. You can give me more money, but giving me more money at a broken process, then you're not getting the net results. Give me what is needed and not what I think is needed. I need to hear from the front line, from the blue shirts to the white shirts, because they're going to tell you what's necessary for them to achieve their jobs. And I'll give you an example. When I first came into office as mayor, I went around and talked to our police and fire, and I talked to the blue shirts. Mayor, we need to increase what we call increase our our numbers. They wanted what's called 29. 29, so you need 29 people on shift at the fire department. Well, that 29 was a little steep for our pockets. So we went from 23 to 27. But then we put into what we call overtime money. That means you're able to hire back enough individuals to bring you up to 29. That's the compromise. Then I said, that's it for right now? Yeah. Mayor, we need ambulances. Okay. What do you mean we need ambulances? Our ambulance right now is 20 years old. 20 years old, we need ambulance. What do? We focus in on buying ambulances over the next 2 or 3 years. Police department, we need new police cars. What's your fleet like? We're about 15 years old. You got to improve your fleet. Now we just don't need mayor. We need kind of SUVs so the officers can carry all their equipment. All right, let's do that. So getting a buy-in from them to implement into our overall plan is the way that I can help them. My job as mayor is to eliminate the barriers that exist in my police, fire, public works, water. That's my job. Remove the barriers so they can do their job more efficiently and effectively, which ultimately helps them do their job to help out the end user, which is the customer, taxpayers. Probably have time for one more question. I got to run.
Yeah. My last one would be, now this more goes into for medical bills for a lot of our residents who may not have health insurance, who may be undocumented and frankly don't have a Social Security to pay for medical bills. What would be your what would be one thing that you would do in order to assist those who have existing medical bills or in medical debt?
Well, first of all, the ordinance was put in place to address those who had health insurance. There was a cost that that was incurred from those who had health insurance. That was part of their policy. If you were from Waukegan, if you're a resident of Waukegan, you are not supposed to be billed. You're supposed to say the billing process went out to them. You will say, hey, I'm a Waukegan resident. That's what your property tax pays. Now, if they somehow changed that, I would certainly be looking to change that back, because you pay for that process. You pay for that service already through your property tax bill. However, if you have a health insurance policy and that's a part of your policy, then we should be able to build that health insurance company to get what you've already paid for in your policy back to the city, so we can make sure that we put that in part of our cost to send an ambulance or provide that level of service, medical service, to our residents of Waukegan. The short answer is, listen, you should be getting billed for that anyway if you're a Waukegan resident, period. So we'll stop it. We shouldn't be. I trust that they have not changed that legislation. If so, I'll be looking to change that back instantly.
Alrighty. Thank you so much, Mr. Cunningham. As stated previously, if you are wanting to vote early, you can call 847-377-2477. You can also visit samcunninghamformayor.com to get to know Sam Cunningham, as well as his more facts about him, as well as what he is campaigning for. Mr. Cunningham, do you have any last parting words?
Well, listen, tell your viewers and your listeners, they ever want to learn about me, samcunninghamformayor.com. samcunninghamformayor.com. A lot of my bio, what I'm about, what I'm doing, where I'm at, it's out there. Certainly go to my Facebook page, Sam Cunningham, Waukegan's 40th mayor. Yeah, I try to be everywhere, not for political reasons. I try to be everywhere because I want people to understand how much I love this city, and being the mayor would only help me to promote and rebuild what I think is one of the greatest cities on the North Shore. Thank you for your time, your service, and getting this message out there, Mr. Ocampo. And I will be chatting with you soon. Early voting has started, and it ends February 24th, 2025. Get there. Take care. God bless.
Thank you for joining Mr. Cunningham. If you would like to listen to this episode on Apple Podcasts or any streaming services, you can also visit us online at ljentertainmentmedia.com. Thank you all for joining, and you guys have a great rest of your night.
You
have
too,
a good
sir.
one, Mr. Cunningham.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.